Endeavour and ISS, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
NPR, this is Houston. Please call Endeavour and ISS for a voice check.
Endeavour ISS, this is NPR. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear, Scott. How do you have us?
Just fine. How are you, Mark?
I am really good. Katie and I are enjoying a good day up here.
Well, that's what we want to talk about. Katie Coleman, Scott Simon, how are you?
I am great. It's nice to hear your voice in this way. I listen to NPR up here. They send it up every day to me.
Oh, thank you. Tell us about the mission. You've got some awfully expensive equipment on board.
Well, yes, Scott, we just installed the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. It's a $2 billion cosmic particle detector, really a premier physics experiment that's supported by 16 different countries, 600 physicists. I mean, it's pretty big project. It's managed out in CERN, Switzerland. They've been working on this thing, a lot of people, for a long time. And today, with the help of Roberto Vittori, Drew Feustel, Greg Chamitoff, and Greg Johnson, we got it successfully installed on the space station. It's a great day for science.
Katie Coleman, what do you do with your time up there?
Well, I don't know where the time goes, but I'll tell you, it's a very busy place. We've got like 130 different experiments running almost at the same time, some of them, up here on the space station, and then maintaining the space station and also maintaining ourselves and doing some medical work, some medical experiments. Just to maintain your bone mass, you need to exercise about 2 hours a day up here. So I would say every day is a busy day and a great day up here.
How do you exercise for 2 hours a day in a space capsule?
Well, up here on the station, capsule, you can think, Soyuz, which is my way, up to the space station and then back down next week. But up here on the space station, I mean, this is a big, big place. Scott and I are here talking, and nobody else. Oh no! I called him the wrong name. I was up here for. I was up here with Scott for 4 months. But we're talking here, and nobody else in the station could hear us. I practice my flute at night in a place nobody can hear me, and I'm not that far away. It's a very big, big place, and gives us a lot of space to store the stuff that we need for the experiments, because they've all got different parts and different things that we need to do the experiments.
Mark Kelly, first, you haven't switched places with your twin brother Scott, have you?
Not this time.
This might well be your last ride in space. I wonder what your thoughts are as you look down on our Earth.
The Earth's an incredibly beautiful planet. It's it's hard to understand sometimes all the conflict in such a beautiful place. It is it's possible that this is my last flight. This is a really hard thing to give up. It's very exciting and it's be frank, it's a big privilege for all of us to have the opportunity to serve our countries in this way. So it's a tough thing. But to answer your question, Scott, just looking down, we've got a very fragile and beautiful place to live, and we need to take care of it.
Do both of you, either of you, have any concern that NASA's no longer going to be leading the way?
I think NASA is leading the way and will continue to do so. We are the lead partner on the International Space Station, and when humans go back to the moon and onto Mars, I'm sure it's going to be the United States and NASA that's leading that as well. As we move into more commercialization of the launch vehicles and getting access to orbit, that's still NASA that's leading that project and hopefully buying those services. And this is something I think that in the long run could mean the expansion of humans accessing space. So we're pretty excited about the future for NASA.
Katie Coleman, when you look down on the Earth, what do you think?
You know, you would think after almost 6 months that I might even be tired of it, and I will tell you that it's always changing. You know, different kinds of light, different, just discovering new places. I feel like I've been to these places, and during my time up here, we've had the earthquake and tsunami in Japan, the conflict in Libya, and the flooding in the south. Lots of things happening down on the planet, and it's hard to look at in that way, because when we look from here, it still looks beautiful and somehow remote. And so trying to marry up those two things, you know, the reality of how hard life is down on the planet for so many people right now, and yet our view is very very angelic, really. And so it's hard to marry up those two things, and I'm not looking forward to giving that up. It's very hard to give it up.
Flight Engineer Katie Coleman, Commander Mark Kelly, thanks so much for speaking with us.
You're welcome, Scott.
Endeavour ISS, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the NPR portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from the Associated Press.
Endeavour Space Station, this is the Associated Press. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear, Marcia. How do you hear us?
Just fine. Hello. Speaking to you today from your launch site, Commander Kelly. Congratulations on a successful flight so far. I'll start out by asking about your wife, Congresswoman Giffords. How is she doing today? Have you had a chance to talk to her this morning, the day after her surgery?
Not yet. We've had a really busy day, and just based on the time, how our day matches up with the day there back in the United States, I haven't had that opportunity yet, but I will at the end of the day. I spoke to her mom last night, exchanged some emails with her surgeon and her chief of staff, and I talked to my brother yesterday, and she's doing really, really well, as good as possibly could be expected.
Does her good progress mean that she might be released from the hospital soon, and do you expect them to delay her release until you're back on Earth?
Well, the rehab is it's a long process from a traumatic brain injury, and it's not even, you know, measured in weeks. It's normally months. At some point, she will become an outpatient there at TIR. We don't know exactly when that is going to be, but you know, I'm looking forward to that. She's got some recovery here from the procedure she had yesterday, and then she's going to be back in the full-time rehab.
We've seen some pictures down here of the towel damage on Endeavour's belly, Commander. What's the latest status on the damage? What are you hearing, and how concerned are you about that?
Well, we've got a really, really busy day. We installed the alpha magnetic spectrometer today. That took a long time. We're getting ready for the first of our 4 EVAs tomorrow. We've been transferring cargo to the space station and some back to the space shuttle, so it's been really, really busy for the 12 of us on board. So it's you know, constant contact about the condition with the few tiles that are being looked at is something, you know, I'll get a chance later on in the day via email and some messages to discuss that with the flight directors. But not yet. I'm aware of the damage, and I know it's being looked at. We have a whole team of people that are, you know, that are working around the clock to take a look at it. From my point of view, the pictures I've seen, we've seen this kind of thing before. On STS-121, we had some tile damage. That was my second flight. It looked kind of similar. We took a closer look, and it was eventually cleared for flight. So I expect the same thing.
Well, good. For either of you, describe the elation and relief you felt once the alpha magnetic spectrometer was anchored down on the space station this morning. Were you holding your breath that everything would go right?
You know, I had a little bit. I mean, it's a $2 billion cosmic particle detector. It's got 600 physicists that have been working on it. It's a collaboration of 16 different countries. It's going to produce some really, really exciting science, and it was all in the hands of 4 of my crew members. 2 of them, Drew Feustel, Roberto Vittori from Italy, who transferred it from the shuttle payload bay to the space station arm, and then Greg Johnson and Greg Chamatoff installed it on top of the truss. So I said to Greg, and Drew earlier today in the mid deck that, isn't it a relief that it's no longer our responsibility, that we safely got it installed. Those guys did a fabulous job, and I imagine Dr. Ting and his team are collecting science right now.
Well, thank you for taking the time to chat today. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to you, Dr. Coleman. I ran out of time. So anyway, Godspeed to both of you.
Thank you, Marcia.